there, my name is Beck and the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop. My whole family's taking the day off today. They were having a bit of family time, so I snuck downstairs to record this video because I've been meaning to do it for like last few 2 or 3 days. I finally finished watching Expanse. Oh, and so the reason I'm doing it now is my wife has taken everything out of the closet, and my 2 daughters and her are standing in judgment on my entire wife's wardrobe about what gets sent away and what gets saved. So I'll go upstairs after I finish making these videos and find out what the terrible day of judgment has been for my wife's wardrobe. But it gives me a chance to talk about the Expanse. Now, I'm not an uber Expanse fan. I like it. It struck me as being, about in the same when I first started watching it, about the same ballpark as other, sci-fi channel shows like Defiance. It seems to be kind of like in a par with that, maybe a little bit superior. In fact, you have to say, when it first came out, I prefer Star Trek Discovery season 1, up until the end of that first story arc. No, that first 10 episodes when they vanished and they turned up in the Mirror universe. I was finding Discovery. I found it more cinematic and interesting, but The Expanse is a smarter show that takes you time to appreciate and draws you in. I've heard it compared to Game of Thrones, and it's not as good as Game of Thrones. It's not as good as the initial seasons of Game of Thrones. It's still a story. It still doesn't feel as real as Game of Thrones feels, but it's using a very similar template. So you have a very realistic ongoing political stories with different factions. Great, fantastic. And then they're bundling into this universe, universe, a species challenging moment when they meet up with this thing called the proto-molecule, which is alien life. So, and it's what a early space-faring human society would be like when it meets a completely alien form of life in form of the proto-molecule, which I still don't really understand it. But again, I'm not an Expanse super fan. I'm a casual viewer. So I've been watching with interest season 4. And I was going to do reviews on every episode. That's not going to happen. It's not that there wasn't enough story to fill it. I think it filled out these 10 episodes pretty well, but I think this is what they really could have done. They could have made it into a 3-hour movie and released that, and then a week later or 2 weeks later, or a month later, release a director's cut, a supersized this 10-hour version. Because I think just not much happened, and you could have probably. Yeah, I think you could have squeezed. You might even squeeze it into 2.5 hours. Okay, so since my last review, but everything else doesn't really matter apart from the storyline on the planet on this new Terra or whatever the Belters call it through this ring. There are stories, but they are definitely B stories. The A story is on this new world, pretty much identical to the Doctor Who story. Colony in space. I said it in my last video, but that is basically it with a much better budget and special effects. And by the way, I say even though it clearly has a better budget than seasons 1, 2, and 3 had, and it clearly does. It doesn't have a cinematic budget, and I think it's better for that. I really do. I'm not. I like these the cinematicness of Discovery when it first started. But then that without any thought or ideas behind it, which is really what it turned out to be. Yeah, it just doesn't work. I'm sick of them throwing money at something rather than talent, which is something we've seen over and over again. So this thing, they threw money and talent at it, but not like crazy Star Trek money. They did a reasonable TV budget. I think it looked cheaper to me than even Carnival Row, which just looked exquisite. I would love to go back and watch that. That was one of my favorite shows of the year, especially from Amazon. Fine. So basically, what happened? We had one episode where they've triggered this massive seismic. Well, they didn't trigger it. Miller, who was with them, turned up with Holden, and he got a ride through the ring, the portal, because he's trying to work out where the people who created the proto-molecule, that society, went to. They vanished. So he's doing all this kind of stuff, and like he's on this proto-molecule planet with all this like ancient proto-molecule structures everywhere, which seems to be dead. So he's switching on all these little switches over, see what happens. Causes a massive seismic event, which is going to just cause a tidal, a tsunami, which is going to wipe out the belters. So everybody has to evacuate. So this is great news for the mining company led by Burn Gorman. No idea what his character name is. The guy from Torchwood. That's who I think of it. But Burn Gorman, I think one of my favorite characters of the season. I always do like a villain, but I think he was a pretty well realized and three-dimensional villain. So it is a great news for him because he just wants to get the belters off the bloody planet, so he can his company can, once they're off, they've lost their claim, and I can see the reality of that. But everything goes wrong, and this is one of the things that wasn't answered, and I would like answered at some point. Why did everything go wrong? Why did all the spaceships suddenly their reactors stop working? No, it's something to do with the proto-molecule, but I think there's a wider story going on there. Again, I haven't read the book, so I really don't know. So why was that happening? So they can't evacuate because the shuttle stopped working, and so you have the ships in a decaying orbit which are fighting for survival, which is one really great plot point. And you got the colonists scrabbling for survival from the tsunami, trying to find shelter, and they go to find shelter in the ancient proto-molecule structures. I won't say buildings, but structures, where they find a way into. I think they have to blow their way into it. So you go. That's the problem for one episode. Next episode is they get in there and they're high, and everything's bad. Everything, you got this like. These slugs everywhere that if they touch you will kill you, or they excrete on you will kill. And then I must have nodded off at some point. They get this blindness disease going on, which they got to cure. So that takes you through the first couple of the episodes, 6 and 7, and you have the decaying orbit plot line. And they did which I really liked their solution. They banded together to save one of the space station by tethering it to the Rossi, which again I love the scientific realism in the Expanse, and I think that's really, if I think about all the major leaps forward in science fiction, that's really the core thing. We had Lost in Space, from 1950, which had no scientific realism at all. The robot, and then out of nowhere came Star Trek, and it was like, oh my god, this is mind blowing. The realism, and it really pulled from, I think, was it Gene Roddenberry was in the Navy, but it had a much more, even though that's not very realistic, it had much more level of realism. And then you had Star Wars added in this whole new layer of like gritty realism, and so I think you have that to a great extent with the Expanse, where they talk about three-dimensional physics and plotting courses, and whenever you see the graphics, they're always like, the courses are never direct lines, they go in circles, which is, I think, I don't know, I'm not an astrophysicist, but it seems to me that's more likely what would happen. So fine, everything's going bad. The Rossi and the other ships got like 18 hours left before they're going to burn up an orbit, and then the mining colony ship attacks them for some reason because they're vulnerable. Well, they managed to fend off the attack. At the same time, Miller's going through this like bizarre thing where he's trying to work out what's going on, and Miller rebels against the proto-molecule version of himself that they're using. So you got two Millers. You got one with the mohawk, which looks kind of weird, and the other one with the hat, who is which is the proto-molecule version. And so Miller's trying to rebel and make him become his own independent thing. So it turns out there was this massive war between the proto-molecule people and this other force, which I think will probably play much more prominently in future seasons. I'm really glad it's renewed for a full season, because I'm looking forward to it already. So you got the what was it? So eventually they they teleport sort of. That looked really. They didn't really. He goes through he goes with Holden through this other mini portal within the proto molecule ruins, and he spends like hours and hours falling. So he says so long falling, he passes out or falls asleep. I think he probably passes out, falling until he gets to the other side, and we find out in the last episode he's 800 kilometers away after I don't know a 20-minute fall. For me, I think I would have certainly have soiled my spacesuit. I'm not very good on a long flu, let alone like a extended, hour, 35-minute, whatever fall. So, so they get there and there's a funky circle, the funky glowy circle, which is the weapon used against the protomolecule by this other force, which Miller now wants to reactivate to turn everything off on the planet, which he turned on. And so that whole sequence was great because Miller now had put himself in technology, and he's made out of all like bits of antenna and wall paneling. And the one of the new characters, the woman, can't remember her name. He helps and drags him into the portal, which switches off all the protomolecule, which was just in the middle of all switching on like big time. And so that basically wraps up that entire storyline. Meanwhile, we got Bobby Draper on Mars, and there's some skullduggery going on Mars where they're working with the Belters. You got that Belter ship with I can't remember the old pirate is the second in command. So he's eventually you got that, and you got their. There's some kind of alliance between Mars and the Belters going on that's been teased all the way through the season. The least interesting part of the season has been the Secretary General of the UN, who both actor and character name I can't pronounce. I'm not even going to try. they do a whole plotline where she gets voted out of office. So that probably comes from a bit of Trump derangement syndrome and reacting to Obama leaving office. Yeah, you forget how in 2016 how everybody was in like mourning that Obama, who they saw as a saintly figure, was moved out of office by Donald Trump. Far be it for me to laugh at others' misfortune, but So I think that's really riffing on that. Although she's a reasonably minor character, but she's incredibly important to the tone of the series, and that's something which I really found in season 4. Season 4 has evolved beyond its sci-fi channel beginning. I think it's become its own thing, and now it's getting a fifth season as well. It's gonna be like a real, what's the word, lodestone. It's gonna be like a real gravity point in the science fiction genre. Yeah. I'm hoping they get to tell their entire story. Although everybody tells me, I haven't read that the books go very, very woke, but they start to come back to reality after like two very woke books. So we have to wait and see. Gary from Nerdrotic has read the books, and he says there's no way they can do adaptations. So I'm intrigued to see what's going to happen. So they end it on a really interesting note. They end it with the Belters that the former captain. I can remember the game. Is it Ashford? I think it's Ashford. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. The guy with the messed up side of his face. He's sent to kill this rogue Belter, who it turns out is working in league with Mars. Oh, then it also turns out is the father of Naomi, whatever her last name is kid, and the kid's gone bad and is working with his father. And they're doing some kind of thing with Martian stealth tech, which looks like they're launching a massive attack on Earth, which will be very interesting to see where it goes, see what the new Secretary General of the UN does with that. I'm hooked to see where it's going. I really, really hope that it just manages to complete the story, because it's a very interesting story. Yeah, this is a strong recommend. If you haven't seen any of the Expanse, I think it's worth going through. I think it's a rewarding series to go through if you haven't seen any of it. So start from the beginning. Although, so frustratingly in Israel, seasons 1, 2, and 3 are not available on Amazon Prime. Not available in your location. Why the hell not? Do they not have exclusive rights to it? That's why I'm glad I have the physical media, which I bought. Even though I should be able to have it for free, but so. Uh, yeah, they didn't poop the bed. That was my review of the Mandalorian as well. They didn't poop the bed, so I'm really quite happy about that. I would say it's worth definitely worth your time. Not one of the best series of the year. I preferred on Amazon. Just let's say on Amazon you have this, Good Omens, and Carnival Row. I can't think of any. Oh, and The Boys. Fine. So best show from Amazon would be The Boys, followed by Carnival Row, followed by Expanse season 3, followed by Good Omens. Can't think of any other shows. Yeah, that would be my top 4 ranking. Not sure how it ranks in terms of all the other shows that have been out this year. When was Altered Carbon? Altered Carbon, I think, is better as well, but that wasn't 2019. That was 2018. Or we mean 2017. We should be due a new season on that soon. Anyway, my name is Felix Beck and the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you enjoy this content, please consider subscribing. That would make my life so much better. And please share, because I am in Facebook jail for some reason. No idea what I said, but whatever I said, people didn't like it. So like, share, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you think. And yeah, by the way, somebody gave me a fantastic comment on another video I did months ago. About a Doctor Who writer, Gareth Roberts. Whoever you were, if you're watching this video, thank you so much. I'm about to reply to your comment just to thank you so much, because actually you sent me a link to an article which is just fantastic. So yeah, please like, share, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you think, and stay tuned for my next videos. Hopefully I'll have at least 2 out tomorrow. Have a great day.